Francis Kimanzi as seasoned coach. Good to speak to us, and congratulations for your exceptional performance so far. Last season, some sort of awful show, but you defying all odds to, pull a surprise and put up some glittering show. Maybe what has been the secret behind your performance up to now as we speak?
No, it's first we have to be honest that we have a team of youngsters that we started a project together, and I think we are still working together, and the consistency I think is very evident, within the group at the moment. I'm happy that after 1 year, a group of very young players, at least they have turned to be something also very positive and very encouraging to work with. And I think it's always nice when you start something and you see the results from it. So I think we have a good team with young players, and it is a continuation of what we started. So we struggled a lot last year, but again, you have to, the process of team building is always not an event. It is quite a longer process than sometimes we always think maybe about the pre-season or the mid-season. Sometimes it goes beyond what we think about, and for us it took us a whole season to complete it. But we were very, very lucky that towards the end of that season we were again a very good team, and I think that has moved. I think we have transferred all that energy and effort to this season.
Speaking to your players earlier, of course, both Cliff Nyake and George Wise, they are optimistic and not ruling out a possibility of being crowned overall champions this season. Maybe from where you sit, do you think it's possible and it can be achieved?
First, I think you face it in a way that in phases, and the first phase is we have to build a team for tomorrow, and then that same team has to compete, and now they are competing. And the third phase is that we also wanted to get a team that can be another force, and it is already another force in the league. We're feeling that we can also compete with the top 5 teams that were very dominant last season. So I think that is something that we have injected in the league. The other block of or the other development about whether we win it or not, I think we are still in the process of achieving what we had we could with a group.
Your expectations, are you looking forward maintaining the same winning momentum you've had before?
I think the issue about finance, every team, no team in our league now is comfortable, we can say that. Every team has some struggle, and I think Nakumatt is struggling more than the other teams. But when it comes to 90 minutes of play, the beauty of football is that even a player who hasn't trained or prepared so well doesn't want to lose a match. He wants to, to play his best. Because for one, if you're a football player, you want to entertain yourself and you enjoy playing. So those two play and expect to be a very tough match.
Overall, as you talk about the economic turmoil the league is going through due to lack of concrete sponsorship on board, what can you comment about the players' welfare? We've seen a lot of players crying foul, even through KFA, their welfare body, that the lack of salaries and paid allowances is leading to their poor performance and awful show in the league. Maybe you read from the same script?
I think you have to look at the coin from both sides, because for one, it is not the clubs having the money and not paying the players. It is the clubs not even managing, not even they're not able to secure even some sponsorship. So if you don't secure money to pay the players again, and then there was just last season, things looked better with the betting companies. I think almost 80% of the club, they were beneficiaries, 100% of the clubs, because there was still money in the KPL from the betting farm anyway. So we were all beneficiaries, either directly or indirectly. But what is important, even through KFA and through clubs, is that first of all, the honesty is important. The transparency in discussing those issues is important. And again, I believe that dialogue is best in the club, but you cannot have a dialogue where you think that maybe some players feel that the clubs are not open enough and they're not honest to discuss issues. They always tell them things will be better, but be discussed openly, so that players must prepare themselves. And so should also be done the same when it comes to KFA. I think they should play a part of guiding the players but not forcing them out of the clubs. Because even if you ask players to move out of the clubs and the other club is still struggling and their next club is still struggling, so I don't think you solve that. I don't think the problem is solved by doing that. But we have to. I think even K4 needs to meet the clubs now and find out through the club licensing. I think they also have the right to inspect what the club is getting. And through the federation, they can do the inspection whether the clubs have money and not paying the players, or just the clubs that are bankrupt. So it is something that I think it is blown out of proportion, should be discussed soberly for the players to understand that it is a situation, because I know even through KPL and the federation, they are still engaging government into it. And I don't know the details, but we know that there is some money from the government that's also coming into the system to try and assist some of the clubs that are really hard hit financially. So things will change, but I think it is a problem that is within all the clubs, because if we were all 100% benefiting from the betting farms, and now we are all 100% again losing the same benefit, so that means there's no club that is very comfortable. Every single club is struggling. So even the K4s, I think they need to face clubs and the players, and what will be more important is that when it is discussed openly and with a lot of humor in it, and we have to discuss whether there's money or not.
I remember interviewing you some time back after the appointment of Stanley Okumbi as the national team tactician, and you tipped him as someone who will succeed at the helm of the national team as their tactician. He's been redeployed. I don't know what you think about the latest development football-wise, and maybe we've seen even other football followers thinking that Francis Kimanzi is a man who deserves being at the helm of the national team, Harambee Stars. What are your overall assessment about such situation?
Opinion from football fans, it's always you'll always get different opinions, and for Stanley, you don't say that he has failed. You know, you can be in charge of matches where you don't pull results. And I said earlier that the process of building a team is not a short event. It takes time, and for a coach with less experience also, you need longer time. So that doesn't mean that the position that he's holding now, it's also a position. Youth players, they also need coaches with a lot of good experience and who can guide the players, because if you just if you can try to if you compare that with what happens in the normal life of a student, if you have a kid of 6 years, you want to make sure that that kid has a good foundation from the start when you talk about the education. So if you have a youth player in football education, you want to make sure that that football player gets the best education. That means you have to get the best trainer. So that doesn't mean that when you see senior or experienced trainers going back to handle those players, that should not be seen as a demotion. I think that is really what is needed down there. First of all, young players need a lot of coaches with a lot of experience and people who are already experts in the game, to get them to achieve whatever they're supposed to achieve, or push their potential up to the end. So that one, for me, I can never discuss it as a demotion. It is not a demotion because he has gathered a lot of experience with the seniors, and I think there is something, and there's even more to teach even the under 17, even the under 16. I can also coach those players because I know how important it is when they get all the basics right there. It will be very easy for them to prosper in their career. So the earlier the better.
Your comparison of home-based coaches and foreign-based?
I think first it's an open market, so people are competing for opportunities. Foreign coaches coming to compete for opportunity here. I can also go out and compete for an opportunity, and even when they are coaching local clubs or the national team, you're still competing. Because a foreign coach coming to coach the national team, who is the trainer? I'm the trainer coach. I'm training those players on a daily basis. So the benefit always comes from me. He will only guide them. And in the national level, it's about guiding your vision. It is not training. You only manage your vision there for 2-3 days before you play a match. But the coach who has been training the players is the coach who has that player for 1 season or even 2 seasons. So it's an open market. People are allowed to compete. The only thing is that if it is a local coach who is in that platform today, he has to get the same treatment as they are giving the other coach. So there should be no double standards when it comes to those levels. So if Stanley is there with the senior team today, he should also be treated the same way as they treated Put before he went. That was always, I think I like when the foreign coaches are also coming in the senior team, because they set the platforms that will benefit us later.
Finally, your first assignment with under 23 in Uzbekistan. How is the experience so far, though in acting capacity, and what are you looking forward to?
No, it was a good experience. We had some short sessions with them, but I think for many years we have always talked about we had some discussions about why don't we have an under 23 team, and for this particular team we tried to identify players 23 years old, but between born 97, 98 and 96, just a few, to see if at least we can do something. But the talent is there. But they also have the other challenge that we talked earlier, the guidance. How can we guide them to succeed in the senior team? Because even the players that we had in this squad that went to Uzbekistan, I think 70% of them, they have been in the senior team and they could not make it. And now from that level we could tell why. Because you see there's something that is still not very clear to them, and it can only be cleared in a different level, not in the senior level, because senior level is about performance and results. And for the young players, they are being pushed a lot, but you cannot do that at that level. But if you have 20 years old competing in tournaments, for international friendlies, under 23s, then that can be possible. For this one, I think if they play another 2, 3, 4 games or 6 games together, then we might have a stronger national team, because this is, I think, it's a quiet depth that we are building. Could be something very positive for the national team in the future. If we have 1 or 2 playing lines together in the senior team after 1.5 or 2 seasons, I think we can have a better team.
Thank you for speaking to us, and all the very best.
Thank you, Santenia.